Welcome to AINdebrief, where we take a look back at the most important aviation stories of the past week by the AIN editors who covered them. I'm AIN Alerts editor Chad Troutvetter. In this week's episode, AIN editor-in-chief Matt Thurber discusses his demonstration flight earlier this month in the super-midsize Cessna Citation Longitude. So, Matt, earlier this month, you flew the Cessna Citation Longitude out of Hillsborough Airport near Portland. So, tell us a little bit about the airplane. Just your first impressions of size and how it compares to maybe some other competitors in the space.
Right, Chad. The Longitude is a pretty significant player in the mid-size jet market, and it's really the same fuselage dimensions as the Latitude, but about 30 inches longer. So you have a lot more legroom inside. It's comfortable, flat floor cabin, plenty of room inside. I certainly would compare the comfort with the other mid-size jets out there, like the Challenger 350, Gulfstream G280. Another thing, and most manufacturers are working hard on this too, is quieting the cabin interior. Engineers are going after fairly subtle techniques to do this, like looking at the way fans operate on the inside, redoing the ducting so airflow is much quieter, and the Longitude certainly is quiet inside, down to 67 decibels, which is pretty good.
So is there anything notable about the Longitude? Is there any features for pilots? It makes it easier for them to maybe see how, the fuel levels and things like that?
So something that's new on the Longitude is on the outside, you've got a fuel panel where you can set the fuel load right from the outside and check the level of fuel for the single point refueling. So that's pretty handy. It's fairly normal in terms of modern citation construction and features. The wing is monolithic construction. In other words, they take a slab of aluminum for the top and bottom skins and machine it out and then put it together. And I've seen this construction at the factory where they use a vertical jig to put it together, and it's really pretty impressive. Many, many fewer fasteners than are normally required to put a wing together. The baggage door and the main entry door are also monolithic, which means it takes many fewer parts to put them together, and the door dimensions are so tight that you could swap a Longitude door with any other airframe and it'll fit, which is kind of unusual in the small volume airplane manufacturing business.
Yeah, and let's get to your favorite part, the avionics. What's the Garmin suite look like up there?
So Longitude has, like most modern citations now, the Garmin G5000 package, and this is a Part 25 two-pilot jet, so it's the G5000. The Part 23 citations have G3000, but in operation they're essentially the same. But what's different about the Longitude, it also has the auto throttles that the Latitude also has that, and this sure makes flying in busy airspace a lot easier. The Longitude has Garmin's new GWX-80 digital radar, and this is very helpful for turbulence detection, better rain detection, and avoiding thunderstorms.
So on your recent flight, where did you go to? And obviously it was just probably a flight to and from the same airport, but where did you guys go? What was the flight plan, and what was the goal?
So normally I like to do a speed check at an optimal altitude to see what the speeds and fuel flows are like. So we started out heading south from Hillsborough towards the coast over Newport, Oregon, weather was perfect and just had a fairly thin layer of clouds up at about 20,000 feet. But other than that, it was pretty much clear. So we took off, and I'm flying the airplane in the left seat, and took off, let's see, about maybe 15,000 feet. I put the autopilot on just so I could have more time getting a feel for the handling. And we climbed almost straight up to 41,000 feet. Now, the maximum altitude is flight level 450. We didn't go all the way up there. But at 41,000 feet, we did a maximum speed check, and we got it right up to its maximum speed of Mach 0.84. The true airspeed was 479 knots, and we were burning just under 1,000 pounds per hour per engine. And cabin altitude at 41,000 feet was just 4,900 feet. The Longitude, again, like most modern business jets, has a lower cabin altitude. At the maximum altitude, it's 5,950 feet, so makes for a lot more comfort.
So how did it handle? What do you think of the performance?
Well, it is a real performer. It's a fast airplane. The Honeywell HTF 7700L engines push it along at a nice clip, give you a real nice boost of acceleration on takeoff. Takeoff was comfortable, normal, nothing special, but this is a fairly high-performing jet, and although the rudders and spoilers are fly-by-wire controlled, it's got normal mechanical flight controls. So the handling is a little bit heavy, but then again, not a lot of people are hand flying these airplanes all the time. This is a professionally flown jet that's designed to get there and go places.
So what did you think about the handling on landing, approach and landing? And then we'll get into your thoughts on how it compares to other aircraft you've flown in this class.
After we did the speed check, we also did a check at a long range cruise speed, and for this we were still at 41,000 feet. Brought the power back, so we were going about Mach 0.73, almost Mach 0.74. And that gave us a true airspeed of 421 knots, which is still plenty fast. And we were burning about 800 pounds per hour per engine. So then after that, we asked air traffic control to send us back to the coast and descended down to some mid-altitudes around 13 to 15,000 feet just for some air work. And I did some steep turns at about 230 knots. They were very comfortable. The handling does get a little bit lighter as you slow down. Then we slowed down to get a feel for low-speed handling and what it would be like in the traffic pattern. Gear and flaps down, very comfortable. We also did a demonstration of, I did mention this on the way down, we demonstrated the high-speed protection where if you get up towards a barber pole, the flight control system automatically reduces power and pulls the nose up to keep the speed from going into the red. Same thing at the low end speed. We slowed down until stick shaker, and the Garmin autopilot automatically lowers the nose and the auto throttles add power. So that's to keep you out of trouble on the low end side. Then after that, we returned to Hillsboro to shoot the RNAV approach to runway 13 left. And we did the first approach with the autopilot on so I could see the coupled go around and flew right down to minimums. Again, the weather was perfect, so we could see exactly what was going on. But at minimums, push the go around button and auto throttles took over and kept us right on speed and climbed out back into the traffic pattern for another RNAV approach to the same runway. And this time I hand flew it so I could again feel the handling and fly it right down to the landing. But I kept the auto throttles on because I wanted to see how they worked to keep us on speed and how they pulled back the power once you got over the threshold. The Garmin G5000 in the Longitude has an interesting new feature, and that is you can set a speed plus VREF if you want a little bit of a margin, and it'll hold that exactly with the auto throttles, or you can just have it hold it right at VREF. So since there was no gusty winds or anything, we just had it do the default, which is to hold it right at VREF. And I kept the flight director on, used the flight director guidance to fly the LPV RNAV approach, and flew it right down to the runway. VREF was just spot on the whole time, and kept my hands guarding the throttles as we crossed the threshold. I could feel the auto throttles pulling back as we got down below 50 feet. In the Longitude for landing, you really have to pull the nose up just a tiny bit to just before touchdown. If you pull it up more, it's going to float a little bit and use up a bunch of runway. Even though it has swept wings, it still does float a bit if you aren't careful and flare too much. So just above the runway, it didn't look like we were going to touch on the main wheels first, but jets are like that. And I just pull the nose up just a fraction, and the main landing gear touched down. Then I let the nose down and stepped on the brakes fairly hard and add a little reverse thrust. Came to a nice stop. I probably could have used the brakes a little more. The carbon fly-by-wire brakes obviously have anti-skid, and you can just stomp on them hard, and it's going to keep the wheels from locking up.
So how was it on taxi? Is it easy to taxi?
Yeah, actually, it's very smooth taxiing. It has a tiller, so you do have to use the tiller for taxiing, but it's quite nice. It doesn't jerk around at all if you're not really careful to be smooth, but it was very comfortable and easy to put right where you want it. You don't use the tiller on takeoff, though, because you get about, I think it's up to 9 degrees nose wheel steering with the rudder pedals, which is plenty for takeoff.
How does it compare to other aircraft you've flown? I know you've flown the G280 before, which is similar in size, and I know you've flown the Praetor, the Embraer Praetors as well. So how does the Longitude compare, in your opinion, to those aircraft?
I think it's a comfortable airplane, really well designed for passenger comfort and accommodations. It's got plenty of room inside. This one was equipped with 9 seats, including a 3-seat divan. It's got a nice galley with plenty of room for all the equipment. I would have to look at some specs to do comparisons with the others, but I think it's a competitive airplane in that market segment.
What about handling? I know that the Praetors have fly-by-wire, while the Longitude does not.
Yeah, I mean, handling wise for the pilot, any jet with mechanical controls with this kind of size and performance is going to have heavy handling. That's just normal, and that's the case with the competitors as well. After flying the fly-by-wire Embraers and Falcons and Gulfstreams, I really am a big fan of fly-by-wire, and I hope Textron Aviation eventually moves to a full fly-by-wire design. they're getting there with the Longitude. It's got the fly-by-wire rudder, and that's a Thales design, by the way, and spoilers. I hope it gets there because it's just going to make this class of airplane a lot more pleasant to fly, and it does have some benefits for passenger comfort as well.
When do we get to read about your flight in the Longitude in the next issue of AIN?
I'm working on the story now, and hopefully we'll have it ready for the March or April issues, and it should be online a little bit before that.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on for it. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks for listening to AINdebrief. Another podcast episode will air next Friday. In the meantime, go to www.ainonline.com for the latest aviation news from AIN.